Hi everyone! Welcome back to TechTalks, your go-to podcast for knowing more about artificial technology in this day and age. So I'm Alethea Tolentino, and together with my group mates Marinel Barcelon, Victor Garcia, Manuel Lopez, and Paul Rivera, we are Lasallians ready to talk more about artificial intelligence. And for today's episode, I'll be leading the discussion when it comes to artificial intelligence in the Academe setting. So in our last episode, just a short recap, we were able to talk about the rise of artificial intelligence, how it started, and how it became easily popular for people in the younger generations just like us. So there were mentions of different instances where we use artificial intelligence and how it made our lives easier since it does most of the processes for us. For us students, naging famous talaga ang ChatGPT recently, and I believe that it became everyone's best friend at one point in time in our journey as college students. But yeah, we talked about both the benefits and disadvantages of AI in different ways. But again, today, our highlight is we will be talking about how artificial intelligence is seen and used in different universities in the Philippines. So the use of AI in Philippine schools have been gaining attraction to specific applications like data and predictive analysis, since AI can analyze data sets to identify patterns, trends. It's also famous for its easy search for information compared to Google. In Google, you'd have to type in the keywords and then look through the articles. But for AI, we have different platforms wherein you just type in and then the platform would give you a lot of choices and gives you a comprehensive search for the information that you want. And then third, AI can learn a student's learning patterns, and you can even customize educational content to suit the students' needs. So mas nagiging applicable siya for children, and we have the opportunity to personalize our own way of how we study. Next, AI can also be helpful for our teachers out there. So for our educators, it's helpful when it comes to recording, computing, and statistically analyzing our grades or the students' grades. And last, artificial intelligence is widely used in terms of research and development since it can assist data analysis and literature reviews. So artificial intelligence use depends on the administrators and educators' willingness to embrace new technologies and understand ethical considerations. So actually, University of the Philippines is recognized as one of the universities in our country that is leading the discussion of artificial intelligence. So UP recently unveiled the University of the Philippines Principles for Responsible and Trustworthy Artificial Intelligence. So that is a set of guidelines that UP is adopting in order to provide guardrails and indicate the way forward on the development and use of AI in the university and the country. So it's basically a guideline lang telling the scholars ng bayan on how they can use AI while being very much ethical in their use. So according to Ryan Lufkin, which is actually the Instructor Vice President for Global Strategy, AI is good enough to give students a starting point when it comes to putting words on paper and getting them focused. So it's good for helping us students create outlines, helping us do research, and more specifically or more importantly, simplifying certain processes to make it all of the lengthy steps in just, let's say, 3 easy steps on how to research, how to create content, or whatnot. But again, we have to understand that artificial intelligence uses, there is a right way to use them. So teachers actually also appreciate AI for its helpfulness in creating content for classes. So again, as mentioned, it helps them compute their grades. It also helps them create PowerPoint presentations. But yeah, so as mentioned in our previous episode, using AI or artificial intelligence is really about checks and balances. So dapat talaga we use AI as just a tool and not a means to create content that is not of our own. But at the end of the day, AI can sometimes be completely wrong, but very confident in its answers. So if we don't know enough to question it, you might just instantly trust those answers and disregard your own thought for it. But in terms of our context in De La Salle University, I'd say that using artificial intelligence in our university is embraced with mixed emotions. Mixed emotions, but kidding aside, most Lasallians do use AI again to make their college lives way easier, but some professors don't share the same enthusiasm towards AI, and we totally get the reason why. it's mainly because most students, they just rely on AI to do their schoolworks, and in turn, it's being unethical already. So we sometimes forget that learning stops when we ask machines and technology to do something for us without bearing the fact that it should still be something that we learn and understand. But there are some professors who embraces its use and actually encourages students to use AI to some extent. And that's something that I want to share today, because on my 4th year in DLSU, we have this subject ComSterm, or Strategic Management in the College of Business, wherein our professor really encouraged us to use AI in all of our schoolworks. But the catch is, we have to inform the professor on what kind of platform we use, what are the sources, and the distribution of work between the student and the AI platform. So for example, we have to research on a certain business case and we can use ChatGPT. But the thing is, you have to inform the professor, or my professor back then, if 30% of the work is being made by ChatGPT, which parts of the paper are from ChatGPT, and which part of the paper is something that I've written myself. So it's all about, according to him, leveraging artificial intelligence as a tool in creating automated processes. So again, most professors encourage the use of AI only as a tool. So hindi siya dapat ginagamit to do the schoolwork itself, but as a tool to help the students finish a schoolwork, or make it easier, or make the process shorter for the students to finish it. Also, the discussion of artificial intelligence in the university is being used by a lot of organizations in terms of creating events. So recently, we actually got invited to listen to the behavioral sciences home organization when it comes to talking or meeting a quote-unquote scientist. So we had a speaker who was an attorney, but also, we could say, a pro in terms of technology, wherein he talked about the basics of AI, or artificial intelligence again, and how it can be used the best way in the university setting. So what I picked up from that talk is that AI, again, can be a great tool for students, but again, you have to remember the ethics behind it, and remember that AI is something that is system or technology generated, and that the learning of a student should not be reliant on any technology, and it should be something from the student itself. So in terms of creating checks and balances in the university, it's not within the talks pa din, I guess. But again, we actually have an announcement on our DLSU email from the Office of Provost in terms of advisory on use of AI in academia. And from that announcement from the Office of the Provost, it mentions that the university would like to remind or urge the academic community to keep an open mind, because like most technologies, AI itself is ethically neutral and has the potential for both benevolent and malicious use. And according to the announcement, it is actually incumbent on Lasallian educators or professors to come to grips with the challenge posed by this disruptive technology, so as to better prepare our students, tayong mga Lasallians, for the world of the future. So that's something that's really important to note in the announcement, because the university does encourage the professors to embrace artificial intelligence to some extent, because it is the future that us younger generations would face by then. And in line with this, there are basically 3 overarching principles that the Office of the Provost reminds the Lasallian community. Is that number 1, faculty should set and declare the parameters for the use of AI tools. Number 2, students are free to use AI tools within these parameters. And last but not the least, which I think is really important, lessons and issues emerging from the use of AI tools should be discussed in the proper venues to allow timely updating of this policy. So it just shows that the DLSU is really open in terms of embracing new technologies like AI. But again and again, we would like to remind that it's all about the check and balances when it comes to using any kind of technology. Technology is technology. It is inevitable in this day and age. But the thing is, it is always ethically neutral. It always depends on us users on how we use technology such as artificial intelligence in our daily lives. Is it something that we use to make our lives easier in a way that we are still learning? Is it something that we rely on to the point that hindi na tayo nagko-function as a normal student or normal human being because we just rely on AI making our lives so much easy. And last but not the least, are you willing to compromise your current educational status or how you study when it comes to embracing AI? Is it something that you want to entertain as a student, or is it something na gusto mo munang pagpaliban or wag mo munang gamitin para mas ma-maximize mo yung learning experience? So that's just some insight and context that we, the group, has in terms of artificial in the Academe. We hope you enjoyed this part or this episode of our 3-part podcast. We hope that you learned more about how to use AI in an ethical way as a student, and stay tuned for our next episode, which is AI Soon, wherein we integrate all of our practices in industry on how we use artificial intelligence, both the benefits and disadvantages of it, and how we can embrace artificial intelligence in our own studies.